violent and tragic few days for Israel, the consequences of which will be felt for weeks to come. With tensions already high in Jerusalem with both Passover and Ramadan occurring simultaneously, Israeli police clashed with Muslim worshippers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, leading to hundreds getting arrested. Images from inside the mosque were widely condemned by Israel's neighbours, and over the next few days, hundreds of missiles were fired into Israel from Gaza and Lebanon, the largest barrage of rockets from Israel's northern border in almost 2 decades. Subsequently, Israel hit back at missile sites in both Gaza and Lebanon. And on Friday, 3 people were killed in 2 separate terror attacks, with the murders of 2 British Israeli sisters in the West Bank and an Italian tourist in Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Israel's enemies will pay a heavy price, but with Israel's internal struggles already in the international spotlight, he is reluctant to do anything drastic. His coalition was formed with the promise of being hard on terror, but with 18 Israelis killed in terror attacks this year alone, have they failed? Would a war further harm Netanyahu's reputation, or would it help him unite a divided country? Are we heading towards a 3rd intifada? Is there a way to stop the terror wave?
So let's get to it. Is there a way to stop the terror wave? As always, gentlemen, we begin with a quick fire round, 30 seconds each to lay out your initial stance on the matter, and we pick it up from there. So, Professor Michael, please take the lead. Your 30 seconds are on.
Good evening. First of all, I don't like the terminology of terror wave. I think that this is something which is much bigger, much more complicated. This is a terror campaign. And in order to stop this terror campaign, which is it is run under a sort of original structure, original logic, we have to tackle the main columns or the main pillars of these systems, which are on the one side Hamas and on the other side Iran. But first of all, we have to deal with Hamas.
Yes, Professor Michael will obviously continue to unpack it in a split second. For now, Josh Wander, your take.
Absolutely, there's a way of stopping this campaign. What we need to do is what the nation of Israel has overwhelmingly elected a government to do. Now we're waiting to see whether that government is going to follow through, whether they're just talking the talk or whether they're going to walk the walk. And if they're willing to do what the people elected them to do and to really be hard on the radical jihadists, then we will see peace in the end.
Last but not least, Sinijlawi, your thoughts?
All this wave of violence is a reaction towards some invasion from the Israeli police to Al-Aqsa Mosque. You can imagine if an Arab police have invaded a synagogue in any Arab country in such a way that the Israeli police has invaded Al-Aqsa Mosque, beating people who are worshipping, shooting them with rubber bullets and tear gas and stone grenades. You can imagine what reaction could have happened inside the Jewish community globally. So stopping the invasions of the police inside Al-Aqsa Mosque will stop the violence all over.
Okay, and on that note, gentlemen, let's please feel free to interact. And Mr. Sinijlawi, I do want to begin with you. And from that point exactly, is the Al-Aqsa Mosque to an extent being used as a trap for Israeli security forces?
If it is a trap, then why do they fall into this trap? I will give you an example. Today, they decided not to evacuate those who are worshipping inside Al-Aqsa Mosque in late night hours, and thus it was a calm morning. Even the number of Jewish visitors today was almost 6 times the average number of Jewish visitors last week. But during the night of Wednesday and Thursday, the Israeli police decided just to enter to evacuate the people who are worshipping, who are praying inside the mosque in a very brutal way. The images and these video clips and these images were circulated all over and created anger, and this is normally. I just want to draw your attention that while the Israeli police is insisting that they want to close the doors of Al-Aqsa Mosque during the night between 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock, 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., the Kotel, the
Western Wall,
is open 24 hours all the year around. So why do you allow Jewish people to go and pray during the night? Is God welcoming their prayers while at the same late night hours God is not welcoming the prayers of Muslims? I think there should be equal respect to religious people who are coming to pray, especially in the sensitive month like Ramadan.
Josh Wander.
Well, first of all, this was all orchestrated. By the pictures that we just saw on the screen, you see that these were not peaceful praying people that were just going there for prayers. You see that they barricaded the doors. You see that they had fireworks they were shooting at the police. You see that they had stones that were piled up there waiting to throw at the police. So obviously these were not just innocent worshipers that happened to be there and were invaded. That's number one. Number two, I agree completely with Samer. I think that we should have equal worship. We should have 24 hours, 24/7, the opportunity for Jews to enter their holiest sites on the Temple Mount and pray. It's something that we are lacking already for many, many years. And when we have that, I think that we can both agree that we should both be side to side, praying in a place where, according to Judaism, it's a place of prayer for all nations and a place that of peace for all nations. So we hope that we will be able to pray there together in peace.
But in this respect, Professor Michael, now there is a notion to ban the entry of Jewish worshippers to the Temple Mount. Should the government indeed do so, or will it be considered as surrendering to terrorism?
Not surrendering to terrorism. This is something which became to be a routine for decades, or at least for a decade, when in the last 10 days of the Ramadan, Jews do not enter the compound. And I think that this is a wise decision and a right decision in order to calm the situation. But in the very same time, I would like to refer to the type of worship that was described before. And at least for me, it's a very weird way of worship. When you come to the holiest place for Muslims, at least in Palestine, when you are fully occupied with fireworks, with explosives, with stones, I would say that this is a very weird way of worship.
And in this respect, Josh wondered, do you think the Israeli government is too soft?
Absolutely. I think that the Israeli government needs, as I started off saying, needs to do what the nation chose them to do, and that is to get rid of the violent jihadists that have taken over the different movements, and that includes the movement of Samer, that includes the Fatah movement, and it includes Hamas. Both of them have their very extremist elements that are going into the Temple Mount and are instigating this whole thing. This is, by the way, is exactly what happened a year ago today on last Passover. This was also orchestrated. The exact same thing happened. This is not something that just happened spontaneously. It's something that is orchestrated year after year.
Samer?
Well, nobody goes with stones. There is stones all over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. If the police does not enter, there will be no clashes. Nobody will use these stones. And if you are claiming that most of these people are members of Hamas, the Israeli police have arrested 800 people from inside the mosque in the night of Wednesday and Thursday, and then the police have released all of them, which means none of them was a member of Hamas. They were simply people who are going there to worship. I want to tell you something. The Arab world, the Muslim world, is coming with a lot of positive attitude toward Israel. In Abu Dhabi, the Arabs and the Muslims are building the Abraham complex, where there is a synagogue built by the government of Abu Dhabi, close to a mosque and a church, and everybody is trying to show a lot of welcoming to this kind of good relations. And in Egypt, 2 years ago, the Egyptian government have refurbished the biggest and the most ancient synagogue in Alexandria, and And then what you are doing in return, you are showing all these people that we simply don't care about your good intentions towards Israel. We are invading the third most important mosque that is not only important for Palestinians, but for all over Muslims all over the world. This volcano that you keep igniting and you keep pushing to explode does not explode only inside the complex of the old city. It explodes all over from Indonesia to Morocco. So you need to be sensitive. You need to be more respectful. Your policeman, the commander of police in Jerusalem should be adult enough not to keep testing this bag of explosive powder with fire. When Israeli policemen do not enter the mosque, nothing happens. When they enter, everything explodes. This is simply as it is. So it needs to stop. And
yes,
since the Israeli government has decided to ban the Jewish visitors to come during the last 10 days of
yes,
Ramadan, I think as this principle is accepted, it should be expanded for the whole Ramadan. Leave the whole Ramadan for Muslims. There is not a more important month in the year and more important place than Al-Aqsa Mosque. So this kind of religious relation should be respected.
Professor Michael, in this respect, you're hearing Samar Sinijlawi. What should Israel do in the remaining sensitive days?
First of all, Israel has to respect the Muslims, as well as the Muslims and the Palestinians must respect the Jews and their worship. The problem with the Palestinians is that they are not Emirates, unfortunately, and they tend to complain all the time against Israel and against discrimination, where everybody understands that what happened in the compound is something that was well prepared several months before the Ramadan, and everybody understands who is the hand that shakes the cradle, and everybody understands pretty well that Hamas understands that the compound, the Haram al-Sharif, is the most sensitive place, and Ramadan is the most sensitive timing, and they prepare themselves before in order to ignite all the region, all the area. And if somebody thinks that launching rockets from South Lebanon is something that people can do in a
spontaneous manner,
in a very random manner without preparing it in advance, so I think that they are very naive in this regard. So
yes,
everything is very well orchestrated.
Okay, and on that note, hold your thoughts right there, because we are taking a very short break, but we will continue to unpack the current security escalation on multiple fronts here in Israel right after the break. Professor Kobi Michael, Josh Wander, and Sinijlawi, you're staying with us. A few minutes, and we're back. Welcome back to the summit. Still with us, Professor Kobi Michael, Sinijlawi, and Josh Wander. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for staying with us. We're also staying on topic, but before we get back to our conversation, I-24 News correspondent Nicole Tzedek is at the volatile Damascus gate in Jerusalem. Nicole, what's the latest there?
Well, Ellie, we are seeing just a heavy police and security presence here, as we also are seeing just tens of thousands of citizens come here to Damascus Gate and really all throughout Jerusalem, as we're seeing a very heavy time out here, as it's really the convergence of three major holidays today, both Ramadan, Pesach, and Easter. So we're seeing just more and more people here in the area, as you can see behind me, more people gathering here at Damascus Gate, and because of that, we are seeing just a heavy security presence, not only here at the entrance to the old city, but really all throughout Jerusalem right now. As you're driving through the roads and the highway, you'll see clusters of police cars patrolling the area, trying to maintain as much order as possible, as tensions right now, they are high right here.
Nicole Tzedek, I-24 News correspondent there on the ground. Thank you very much for this. And back with our quick fire round, gentlemen, 30 seconds each. Is it a third intifada, an uptick in violence, or a full-blown war of religion? Samar Sinijlawi, please take the lead.
Well, I think we have been we have been long ago in a third intifada, and this intifada is what we have been seeing, a series of individual attacks. It could be using a car, it could be using a knife, it could be using a rifle. The resistance body inside the West Bank is a body without a head. Nobody is really affecting or controlling what is happening on the ground. Not the PA, not Hamas, not the jihad. And again, I can tell you what's happening in Al-Aqsa is not controlled by Hamas. And the proof of this is that they have released everybody that they have arrested during the 2 nights they invaded Al-Aqsa.
Okay, Professor Kobi Michael, your thoughts?
I tend to agree. I think that at least in the cognitive mode, in the consciousness of the perpetrators, of the activists, the Palestinian activists, they are already in the mode of intifada. They are rejecting the existing order, where the code name is occupation, but they see 2 main pillars. One is the Israeli presence in the Palestinian territories, and the other one is the Palestinian Authority itself, that considered or perceived as collaborating with the current order that they reject.
Yeah.
I think that there is also a growing public support in the armed resistance, and the growing and strengthening narrative of armed resistance, although it is not translated yet to active participation. But we are towards a collision.
Okay, Professor Michael, we'll continue from that point in a split second. Josh Wander, your thoughts?
Yes, we've been at war since 1948. The fact that you want to call different campaigns, you want to call them intifadas, that those are just different code words for terrorism that they're using in this general campaign that has been started in 1940. I don't think anything has changed. I think that the radical jihadists that are hell-bent in trying to destroy Israel are continuing it through all different means. It's a phased plan, and it's been used since the beginning of the state.
Okay, gentlemen, let's please feel free to interact from this point onwards. And Professor Michael, I do want to begin with you. You know, for a while now, the Israeli strategy to an extent was to at least try to divide and conquer, so to speak, as in to make a differentiation between one front to the other, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Jerusalem, the Northern Front, etc. And obviously this notion is somewhat collapsing. Should Israel be the one to reconnect those fronts and strategize anew?
No. The connection was done by Hamas as well as by Iran. This is what they have in common in their strategies, the idea of multi-fronts, a terror feast against Israel in order to drag Israel to a sort of an attrition war and to bring it to a sort of collapse. Hamas does it in its way, Iran does it in its way, and I think that Israel, in its way, which is the wrong way, eventually allowed Hamas to connect the fronts. And I think that in order to reconnect the fronts, Israel has to deal in a much more severe manner with Hamas, and to assure that Hamas will not be capable to do so.
Well, Josh Wander, obviously it all comes against the backdrop of internal Israeli divisions. Do you think that this is one trigger undermining Israeli might, or is it unrelated to the security state of affairs?
I don't think there's as much division as the media likes to portray. I think that's, again, there was a democratic election. The results were overwhelming. The nation wants the right wing to rule here. They believe that they are the ones that are being honest in their narrative of what's going on. I think that Samer may even agree with me that it's hard to understand the left wing and the liberals in this conflict, because they're the ones that make no sense at all. At least the Arabs and the right wing understand each other. The left wing, they really don't understand or choose not to understand what's happening really in this conflict.
Samer, what do you think?
Well, I just would like to insist what is really the threat towards Israel security is not Hamas or the jihad. all these rockets that were fired combined from north and south could only damage a few windows of a bank and one car. A couple of kids in Silwan throwing stones could cause this damage. The real security threat that is facing Israel is not being able to manage the conflict, not being able to find a way how can they control millions of Palestinians that does not have a sense of equality, or they don't have any kind of political and national rights. And here comes Generation Z, the Palestinian new generation that is fed up of this situation and wants to be more free, wants to be more participating in a political system that governs his daily lives. And this generation doesn't anymore believe in the two-state solution, and that's why when he says that the Palestinians are more close to the right wing, I could say yes to a certain extent, that everybody wants a one state now. The right wing believes in Eretz Shlema. They want the whole Israel to be the state of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel, and the Palestinians don't believe now that there could be a Palestinian state between the Mediterranean and the river of Jordan. Then maybe the options that we are left in is to start discussing what kind of a one state we should live in. And for me as a Palestinian, I think it should be a state. I don't mind if it is a Jewish state, as far as it gives me full equal rights. I need to be able to influence and be part of the political system that governs the details of my life. So in a way or another, maybe there should be some kind of a new diplomatic process, a new discussion between the Palestinians and the right wing that can lead us to some solution that is outside of the box. But the two-state solution is totally dead.
Josh Wander, in the short time we have left, one-state solution, as Samer Sinijlawi is putting it, is that the way out?
Absolutely. There is only a one-state solution. The two-state solution has died already many years ago. It's something that the left wing in Israel refuses to recognize, but it's long gone, and it's time to wake up to that reality and start moving on to what the people, what the grassroots wants, and that is a one-state solution. What that one-state solution is going to look like, I think that Arabs throughout the area of Eretz Israel have been treated with better rights than almost any other Arab country that they have resided in. So I think that they have it very, very well. They're very happy. Those that have citizenship here in this country, they're very happy to be here, and they get all the rights of citizens that everyone else gets. And the ones that aren't citizens are doing very, very well compared to many of the Arab states that are around us. We hope that we can live in peace without the radicals taking over.